Hi, Dr. Challa. This is Leanna, and I'm going to be talking about how we learned about oligo annealing and how to use the thermocycler. So, we learned that the temperature has to be raised really high to about 95 degrees, and that's enough to make sure that the DNA denatures into single strands that aren't folded onto themselves without making the solution that they're suspended in boil and evaporate. And then we slowly bring it back down so that the oligo strands can match up and the part of the sequence can become double stranded, while there are two tails left over for to make a two-stranded DNA later. And then that's brought down even more to room temperature and then kept at 4 degrees Celsius to be stored before they can be taken out. And later we're going to run them through gel electrophoresis assay for practice.
Hi Dr. Challa, it's Madeline. This week our group is going to be doing things separately just because it was really hectic and we didn't have time to all meet up. So I'll be talking about gel electrophoresis, and this is a really important step of the process that we learned about last week on Wednesday. So gel electrophoresis is really important because it allows you to make sure that the two strands of DNA have bonded together and that you only have one piece of double-stranded DNA that you can then use to make RNA. So with making the kit for the gel electrophoresis, it's important to make sure that you don't have any leaks, because if you have leaks, then you might have air bubbles, and that will not give you proper results because the results are taken by how far the strands have moved, and if there's air bubbles, then that'll affect their movement. So we thought we had a leak, but it just turned out that when we put the comb in, we splashed some of the gel out. So we know in the future that we need to be really careful when we put the comb in so that doesn't happen again. But other than that, it went pretty well, and I'm excited to do it again on Monday. So, yep, there you go.
Hello, this is Morgan with Group 6, and I'm going to talk about teamwork this week. So me and Mindy were partners, and that was a really good experience for me because I knew that she had a little bit more experience in the lab, particularly when we went over the micropipette techniques. I didn't really know what I was doing that well, and she was very good at teaching me and being patient with me and helping me learn efficiently. She would test if I had bubbles in the tip of my micropipette, and just make sure that, I knew exactly what I was doing and why I was doing it. So I just really appreciate that, as well as her teaching me. We would just kind of check each other's measurements, make sure all the test tubes were easily accessible, and separated how they needed to be, that we had everything that we needed as a group of two, and it just made working in the lab a lot quicker and easier. So it was a good experience for us. And we did get to practice with the PRRG gene in the lab, which was nice because we got to learn what we were doing first and why before we tested out with our own oligos and our own gene. So, alright, I think that pretty much sums up my segment of week 4. See you next week.
Hello, this is Group 6. As said before, we're kind of splitting this up because none of us really had time to meet up this week, and so we just wanted to put it all of our thoughts onto one sheet and then just each of us talk about it a little bit differently. So what I want to talk about is basically how our group is feeling overall about just the process of everything that we're learning. So I think we really appreciate the fact that we are taking the time to go through all the different steps of exactly like annealing the oligos and like using gel electrophoresis to make sure that our oligos have annealed correctly. And I think that practicing with the PRG4 is going to really help us, especially since there's a lot of room for error, and the gene, I'd rather have us mess up with a gene that isn't going to be part of our project than one that is going to be really important. So I think that that was really helpful. But at the same time, I know that there's some concerns within the group about whether or not we're going to have enough time to make sure we have everything correctly done, and if we'll have enough practice before we get started. So maybe some time outside of class would be a good idea for us to make sure that we're doing everything correctly. And I think that in terms of the scientific content, we really understood the annealing of the oligos. I think that that was a lot more clear than some of the other CRISPR concepts that we had talked before, because I think it's a little bit less complex, and there's a lot less steps and different details involved with the different mechanisms. So I think that this week we generally felt really nice because it seemed like a lot of things were starting to come together, and little holes in our knowledge were kind of being pieced together. And I think that that really put us in a good mood, and we're just all really, really excited to get started and, see where our experiments carry us. So we'll see you next week, and yeah, I think that's it.